Good morning, and thank you for being here today. The theme of this press conference today is Women Know Better. Good morning and welcome. My name is Patricia Varela Rivera, and I'm currently the founder and CEO of PBR Solutions, a management training, small business coaching business, also a social entrepreneur. 6 years ago, I retired as the Colorado Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and as many of you know, this country and state have become more aware of women's significant contributions to their respective communities. Their voices have become stronger and have made a true impact on their families, children, jobs, political issues, and the economy. Women-owned businesses is one of the fastest growing sectors in this country, and particularly here in Colorado. I particularly want to thank the very successful women business owners, directors of nonprofits, attorneys, IT professionals, and many other women in today's audience. And we'd also like to welcome the men for being here today, because we want to show people that we do make a difference in all types of areas, and we do add to the economy of this country and this state. We are here today at Maria Empanadas as concerned citizens, mothers, and business professionals because Congressman Cory Gardner is out of touch with Colorado women, and we know better than to trust him with our future. His voting record takes direct aim at working women, and as a result, Cory Gardner is hurting Colorado's economy by not truly caring about the status of women and taking our key issues seriously. I want to start by thanking Lorena Cantorovici, the owner of Maria Empanadas, for allowing us to have this gathering here today. It is our citizens, like Lorena, that help strengthen and build our economy. Lorena came here in 2001, and in 2010 opened this fabulous restaurant. Not only does Lorena own and manage this award-winning restaurant, but she employs a team of 14 people. Out-of-touch politicians like Congressman Cory Gardner fail to understand that passing comprehensive immigration reform would allow businesswomen like Lorena to contribute to our economy and create jobs. According to the Center of American Progress, comprehensive immigration reform could support and create up to 900,000 new jobs within 3 years of reform, directly from an increase in consumer spending. The U.S. Small Business Administration reports that immigrants are 30% more likely to start a business in the United States than non-immigrants, and 18% of all small business owners in the U.S. are immigrants. Today we're going to hear from 3 wonderful professionals who will share with you how Cory Gardner's bad decisions are impacting the ability for women to strengthen and contribute to Colorado's economy. I would like to introduce Shayla Sanders, and Shayla is a recent graduate of the University of Denver and the mother of a 2-year-old boy. She will talk to you about the financial struggles she is facing as a recent college graduate. Shayla?
Good morning. I'm here today because I'm frustrated. I believe that Cory Gardner has forgotten where he comes from and the people that he's supposed to represent. As a recent graduate of the University of Denver and a mother of a 2-year-old, his bad decisions have affected me and my family. I decided to go to college because, like many Colorado women, I wanted a better life for myself. I wanted to find a job so I could avoid living paycheck to paycheck, because who really wants to live a life like that? I didn't want that, and that's why I wanted to go to college. When I became pregnant with my son, it became even more clear to me that I should pursue my degree, in part to provide him with a better life. What I didn't know then is that the price of everything is going up, from food to gas, diapers, and student loans. The real economic freedom is out of reach for many Colorado women. including myself. I was appalled to find out that Congressman Cory Gardner voted to double student loan rates from 3.4 to 6.8%, cut spending for Pell Grants, and voted to eliminate student loan subsidies, which would deny women the opportunity to pay off loans and save for the future. By opposing a bill that would have given student loan relief, Cory Gardner is preventing a generation of Americans like myself from getting a fair shot at success or any opportunity to succeed. Congressman Gardner believes the American dream is only for an elite few who can afford to pay for it. I'm here today because I won't sit on the sidelines while politicians like Congressman Gardner make it harder for women like me. I want to live a life free of debt so I can be able to save for school for my son, to pay off my loans, and to be able to retire one day. If we stay silent, this will not be possible, especially with leaders like Cory Gardner. I want to ask all Colorado women, but especially recent college graduates like myself, to do their homework. We know better than to trust Cory Gardner to represent in the Senate. The time to act is now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shayla. Our next speaker is Leah Caprita. Leah is an attorney in private practice and the mother of two, as she says, very polite children, as she likes to say. She will talk today about how Cory Gardner is making it harder for Colorado women to make our economy better. Leah?
Thank you. The women gathered here today all have one thing in common. We're fighting for our families, for ourselves, for our communities, and our future. And that means ensuring that the American dream is accessible to everybody. One of the things that helps our economy grow is when everyone participates in a way that makes sense for themselves individually and for their families. To me, this is just common sense. I see every day moms who are struggling to make ends meet. With increasing school costs, we are now asked to pay for things like soccer, snacks for their classrooms, which quite frankly is a never-ending stream of money, field trips, and fundraising. And I sit and I wonder sometimes how all of these families can afford it. To add insult to injury, Cory Gardner opposed a measure that would allow time off for working parents so they could attend parent-teacher conferences. He voted to cut spending for critical health insurance for kids, for CHIP, who need it. It seems like at every turn, he wants to make it more difficult for families to get ahead. And there are many issues that have a bearing on how women succeed in our economy. For example, our health care. Cory Gardner thinks that as a politician in Washington, D.C., and as a man, he gets to decide the health care choices that we make, and that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Being able to decide how and when to have a family is not just a health issue. It's an economic issue for women, and it's a vital economic issue. I remember when I first graduated from law school, my husband and I got married soon thereafter. And between a demanding profession and working long hours and student loan debts, the additional burden of an unplanned pregnancy would have been almost overwhelming. It would have derailed my career almost at its infancy. And that is essentially money out of our pockets. Cory Gardner has not only blocked funding and sponsored legislation to criminalize these things, he supports the idea that employers should be able to make the decision as to whether or not a woman gets contraception through her health care coverage. As a practical matter, this means that our employer or our husband's employer gets to make those decisions. That is simply not the kind of leadership that women need. when Congressman Gardner voted to eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood, he knew that there are millions of women all across America who rely on Planned Parenthood, not just for contraceptive care, but rely on it for things like mammograms and cervical cancer screenings. That is essentially a pocketbook issue for women and for families across America. And it makes a difference in terms of how well and effective we are able to save for the future and get ahead. We need real solutions like child care assistance and pay equity. What we do not need in Washington, D.C. is someone like Congressman Gardner thinking that he needs to come between ourselves and our doctors. And these are not just women's issues. These are family and economic issues. Women know better than to trust Cory Gardner with our economic future. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That was excellent. Next, I'd like to introduce Josette Jaramillo. Josette is visiting us from Pueblo, Colorado today, and she will talk about how Congressman Gardner is making it harder for Colorado working women to get equal pay for equal work.
Thank you. Like she said, my name is Josette Jaramillo, and I'm from Pueblo, Colorado. I've had the distinct honor of being surrounded by hardworking women for my entire life. From my grandmother Gertrude, who came to Pueblo, Colorado so her family could work in the fields, to my Aunt Angie, who began working at Target after my uncle went on strike with the CF&I. To my Aunt Rita, who passed away while she was working maintenance at the Sangre de Cristo Art Center in Pueblo. And to my mother Josie, who is a self-employed barber and stands on her feet all day so she can provide for her family and my nephews, who she's also raising. I've also had the pleasure of working in a field that is dominated by women, again, hardworking women. I'm a social worker for the Pueblo County Department of Social Services, and I also have the honor of being the president of our staff union, AFSCME Local 1335. Day in and out, I hear stories from my coworkers about the folks in the community that we serve, as well as their own personal stories. For us, the Lilly Ledbetter Act that our United States Senator Mark Udall supported was more than just a bill in Washington. Equal pay for equal work means respect, security, and dignity. For the women in the community that my coworkers and I serve, a raise in the federal minimum wage means more to them than just a party line vote. For those women, a raise in the minimum wage means spending more time with their families and being able to provide for them. A living wage to the women in Colorado means not having to sacrifice necessities because it's the end of the month. Hardworking Colorado women need better paying jobs, opportunities for advancement, and tax relief. Rather than offer that opportunity to Colorado women and families, Cory Gardner has consistently voted for laws that rig the system and only benefit the wealthiest Coloradoans and corporations. Those hardworking women that I mentioned earlier need real economic freedom and deserve to be paid fairly. On average, women are paid 79 cents to the dollar compared to their male counterparts when doing the same work. The women I work with every day work hard, and they deserve to be paid fairly for equal work. Cory Gardner is a con man. He says one thing in Washington and another thing here in Colorado. He's gone on record saying that he opposes raising the minimum wage, stating that jobs would be lost, and he called it a one-size-fits-all solution. He's voted with congressional Republicans 95% of the time. 95% of the time he voted with his party instead of the hardworking families of Colorado. Instead of voting for bills that would offer some tax relief to the single mom that I work with in Pueblo, Colorado, he voted to support big business tax breaks. I've seen for myself the plight of Colorado working women. I was raised by them, and I also call them my friends. We cannot afford to have Cory Gardner represent us in the United States Senate. Colorado cannot have a modern-day Eddie Haskell representing us in Washington. You know the type. He says one thing, batting his eyelashes, and the moment you turn away, the story changes. Colorado working women need a leader in Washington. We need a leader who will represent us. Someone who understands that equal pay for equal work means something real to working families. We need someone who understands what it means to earn a real living wage. And we need someone who will fight for us and our families. That leader that I mentioned earlier, Cory Gardner, is not him.
Again, I want to thank Shayla, Leah, and Josette. Your stories are right on. Exactly. And I think that the women in Colorado need to hear this message over and over and over. To simply put it, Cory Gardner has forgotten who he represents, but we have not forgotten his record. By opposing pay increases for working families, voting against student loan relief, and fighting against health care for our families that they want and need, he has hurt working women and their families, which hurts our entire economy in Colorado and the country. But at the end of the day, women know better, and that is why we are here today, because we want to make sure that all Colorado women and men know what his record is all about. So again, we'd like to thank you for being here today and taking time. We hope you enjoy the empanadas, and we will also be taking individual interviews. Thank you very, very much.